Ladies and gentlemen, now let us resume our session. I'd like to call in now on the stage for a keynote. He is the Group Vice President International Sales for Verizon Partner Solutions. Please welcome him on the stage right now, Mr. Patrick Sullivan.
So firstly, I'd like to thank Tony for the opportunity to speak at this conference. It's a conference that Verizon have always attended and one we see significant value in, so thank you ever so much. And also the theme of smart networking, I think is incredibly relevant at a time of unprecedented change, not just in our industry, but also in the world that we live in. We've talked around networks, and to me, networks are the foundation of a rapidly developing revolution, one that's happening before our very eyes, one in which the digital economy is the economy. It's enabling new ecosystems, it's making new business processes and opportunities possible, and it's opening up new ways to interact and engage with our customers. So what I really want to do today is take the opportunity to provide a bit of an overview around this new revolution that many people have talked to earlier on this morning, but also how in Verizon, how we're developing networks, services, and digital interaction with our customers to make sure that we can move forward and make sure they're successful as well. So hopefully you had the opportunity to read, I think it's the North American version of Telecom Review. And in fact, I think you saw my boss, Eric Seavis, who's the leader of Verizon Partner Solutions, up on the screen earlier on today. So Eric is often talking about how Verizon is a leader in the fourth industrial revolution. In fact, what he'd also be saying is that we don't wait for the future, we build the future. And when you think of planning for the future, and especially with regards to networks, there's a number of key attributes you always have to consider. Speed, accuracy, connectivity, reliability, capacity, and security are just the key ones. And we obviously need to make sure we take those into consideration through all of our planning. For instance, we know that technology today is already driving tremendous change in terms of how we live, how we work, and how we play. We talk about the impact of digital transformation that is having on our business, but really what we're talking about is how we're transforming our business to lead in the fourth industrial revolution, which, if you like, is a connected world where we think those who that are able to manage connectivity best are going to be best placed for success. I think we've talked on a number of occasions this morning about the fact that the game is changing. I think that's the nature of what happens in progress and innovation. Obviously, technology, as I said, is changing how we work, live, and play. But there's also a significant impact on digital transformation of our businesses as well. If you think about earlier industrial revolutions, they were generally centered on breakthrough general-purpose technologies. Innovations, if you will, that served as catalysts for future innovations. If you think of the first industrial revolution, so this is back in the late 18th and early 19th century, this gave us the foundations of modern industrial society, such as the steam engine and the transition to new manufacturing processes. The second industrial revolution gave us the second industrial revolution was in the late 19th century to the early 20th century, when effectively you take those foundations and we built out new network functions like electricity. People's lives were suddenly regulated by the clock rather than the sun. Electricity fueled production. It was easier for people to get around because of automobiles. And ideas were spread rapidly through newspapers, radio, and telecommunications. All of a sudden, if you like, life got a whole lot faster. The third industrial revolution gave us the digital economy and the sharing economy, both of which were made possible by the rise of the personal computer, and clearly networks were instrumental there in terms of giving access to and sharing information. Not only did life get a lot faster, but also consumers wanted information anywhere, anytime, and on their terms. The fourth industrial revolution is a little bit different. Now, as it's been mentioned many times this morning, the concept of the fourth industrial revolution, it's certainly not something I can take credit for. And in fact, you're probably aware that the term was coined by Klaus Schwab, the founder and executive chairman of the World Economic Forum, who described the fourth industrial revolution as being characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, the digital, and the biological spheres. He further noted that in the Industrial Revolution, this is going to happen at an exponential pace. So effectively, what we're now going to see is a huge change in the industry that we need to take advantage of. We'll see that the technologies introduced will act as a connected platform. You'll also see that on that platform, innovation and creativity will create entirely new industries, changing the way people think, learn, and process information. So the fourth industrial revolution is incredibly relevant to all of us today because it's all around networks and connectivity. It's about technologies which we've talked about earlier on this morning, like 5G, 3D printing, the Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, advanced robotics, autonomous vehicles, wearable devices, as well as virtual and augmented reality. But connectivity is the key that unlocks potential, and never has there been a more important time for networks and smart networks. Now, I didn't want to give a keynote speech without giving you a few numbers to take home with you, if you like. So let's just look at some of the facts out there in terms of just how connected the world is today. Gartner says that by 2020, there will be 20 billion devices connected. And that tells us two important things. First of all, it's a big number. And secondly, we're talking exponential growth in single-digit years rather than decades. If you also think of connectivity with regards to timeframes, television is a good example as well. Television took 35 years to reach 50 million people, yet Pokemon Go did the same thing in 19 days. So as many people have mentioned earlier on today, the game has really changed. But networks are at the core of that change. They provide the foundation for connectivity. And just when you think things were getting fast in previous revolutions, well, it's about to get a whole lot faster. 5G is not just fast, it's transformational. The fourth industrial revolution, it takes connectivity to a whole new level. It enables people, businesses, and communities to do some amazing things. For example, we see situations where you can have open heart surgery on patients thousands of miles away, effectively allowing the advances of technology to be delivering benefits to society regardless of location. On being able to run global manufacturing and distribution centers from your own home, doing so on a very limited or a zero-emission basis. On deploying ground sensors to make sure that we can determine the most efficient, environmentally responsible way to use water and fertilizer for crop production. I could go on, but the possibilities are absolutely immense. But again, in the fourth industrial revolution, connectivity is the foundation, and 5G connectivity is transformational. Now, an example that you'll see Eric refer to in the review is all around the Indy 500. And for most of you here, if you're not aware of the Indy 500, it's very similar to the Grand Prix in motor racing, the one that Lewis Hamilton always tends to win most of the time. Effectively, it's around cars going around a track as fast as they can. What Verizon did is something that you might think was a little bit strange. We put a driver in a car that was normal except for one thing. The windows were completely blacked out. We also asked the driver to get in the car, put his foot to the ground, and drive it as fast as he can around the track. Now, you may be forgiven for thinking this is going to end badly. However, what we also did is we put a 5G head cam on the driver. The latency or delay of those signals, if you like, was so minimal that the driver was able to navigate around the course in such a way that he had increasing confidence and increasingly was go faster and faster. This brought a whole new meaning to augmented reality, and even the driver himself said it was like looking through a plain glass window in real time. That's something we could have never done with 4G, but with 5G we can. Back to the connected world, if you look at today's foundational technologies, we've talked to some of those earlier on today, such as software-defined networks, 4G, the Internet of Things, video, security, telematics, if you like. They're already changing the operations of business today. But we believe it's going to be those who can take advantage of the enormous potential of disruptive technologies such as 5G, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, augmented and virtual reality, and next-gen cloud, including edge computing, that will increasingly be well placed to succeed in the coming years. So obviously, what is clear at the moment is we're probably entering an era of technology-led disruption and innovation, heralded by the 5G revolution, which is going to open up business and collaboration opportunities that we haven't even begun to imagine as yet. Let's move on to digital transformation. So as we see our industry evolve, we also see trends shift. We see customers' expectations changing, especially with regards to customer experience. We see customer experience as being top of mind in many of the business executives that we engage with, and recently we noted that 80% of executives want new efficiencies, new growth, and new experiences all at the same time. In Verizon, we work with customers in over 2,700 cities. We help connect those customers across the globe. And when we put those networks in place, we're also enabling them to connect to us simply and efficiently. And we're doing that through digital transformation. This includes self-service tools, where customers effectively have the ability to quote an order for themselves, and effectively using the technology developments of the fourth industrial revolution to enable connectivity anywhere, anytime, simply, securely, and reliably. In fact, one of the main digital transformation areas that Verizon Partner Solutions has been focusing on is all around the customer experience. In fact, we call it the CX initiative. Within this, we've spent a huge amount of money, focus, and time really looking at the customer experience transformation, because we think if you take care of the transformation, you take care of the ease of doing business. We're also transforming our entire customer experience process, all the way from onboarding to quoting to contracts, right the way through to self-service ordering, chatting, analytics, if you like, and metrics on a dashboard. So there's a lot of focus on that to make sure we can make life easier for our customers. So overall, the three main ways Verizon Partner Solutions is looking to grow on a global basis. Firstly, the customer experience transformation. Secondly, making sure that we embrace the fourth industrial revolution. And also listening to the voice of the customer for new opportunities. As I say, there's opportunities which we haven't even begun to imagine as yet. In terms of the key areas of growth that we're seeing, and I've just highlighted 5 here, IT services, including security, not just in terms of embedded in our networks, but also to support the increasing number of devices and applications going over the network. Ethernet, both in terms of dedicated and switched Ethernet in the US, but also on a global basis. IoT, as I've mentioned, we're seeing increasing number of devices, and we provide the connectivity into the US, as well as vertical solutions and analytics. Wireless transport, I think we've discussed on many occasions earlier today, that we're seeing increased requirements for wireless, so we're supporting that with new infrastructure and connectivity. And also voice, domestically and international, when you look at the aggregate of both OTT as well as traditional voice. So let me just summarize, if I may, in terms of talking about some of the key points here. So the fourth industrial revolution, we've talked around it a few times today. It is here, it's happening, it's changing how we live, work, and play, and it's really at an unprecedented rate. The importance of networks to deliver the future really cannot be underestimated, both in the foundational technologies, but also in the transformational and disruptive technologies like 5G and mobile edge computing. In Verizon, we've consistently invested about $17 billion year over year into our network. We do that to create new ecosystems as well as new opportunities. We delivered 5G first to the world, and we continue to innovate with recent announcements on partnerships with AWS to bring cloud computing closer to our 5G network and further accelerate innovation in the fourth industrial revolution. In Verizon, we believe that the right network matters. We also believe that the right partnership matters as well. I very much appreciate being a partner with many of you here in the room today and look forward to your continued partnership as we move the world forward together in transformational times. Thank you.